From stakeholder capitalism to now talentism. What is the World Economic Forum not willing to do for total world control? Welcome back, everybody. Hope you had a great weekend. It's been a long time since we covered some World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab dystopian future stuff. And I thought that this was perfect because this is something that I hadn't heard about yet. And hey, I figured let's dive into it. What is talentism? Klaus Schwab urges world leaders to grant World Economic Forum full governmental control over nations. So just keep in mind, World Economic Forum is a completely unelected body of quote unquote elites. And it's kind of this weird thing that these unelected people think that they should be our rulers. They know how to be the architects of humanity better than each individual person, right? Because essentially they're trying to steer humanity towards their own personal goals. Now, the best way to do that is to convince people that by following them, that individuals' goals will also be realized. So it's the carrot and the stick. During his speech, Schwab outlined his plans for the merging of state and corporate power. He continued by claiming that with the fusion of the World Economic Forum and the state, we would see a shift from the era of capitalism to the era of talentism. So again, right? Unelected organization now all of a sudden gets to dictate how your country works, where the money is spent, on which innovations, and of course those innovations are entirely owned by the governing body, right? So sure, the country can have some degree of ownership over their innovation, but the World Economic Forum will be the ultimate king of the innovation. Schwab boasted that under his system, corporate elites will craft policies for sovereign countries to ensure that innovation becomes the key competitive factor. That's completely insane. As you guys know, I've worked in a Fortune 500 company, more than one, and I can tell you the last thing that you can ever do is task an engineer or a developer to quote unquote innovate. Indeed, they will create solutions. Indeed, they will do their jobs. But innovation does not happen in a cold, calculated, controlled lab. That is not where innovation happens. Okay. And I think that we've already proven that throughout history. I'll just use the example of Apple computers, which was started in a garage. Okay. So right there, right, the one device that the majority of us, that the majority of humanity is using, it all came from an innovation in a garage. That's where it all started. So this idea, right, this idea that somehow these corporate elites who only desire more money, more power, and control will craft policies for countries to ensure that innovation becomes the key competitive factor. Fucking nonsense, guys. This is nonsense. Okay? You cannot petition people to do this kind of stuff. You can't just write into law, you will innovate, and all of a sudden the human being robot just goes and's like, yeah, I'm going to innovate. That's not how innovation works. Okay? That's not how any of that works. But for people like this to have power, they need you to believe that that's how innovation works, so that you'll buy into this bullshit. During his B20 address, Schwab told world leaders attending the 2022 G20 summit on what to expect as he ushers in his Great Reset agenda, which, we've covered several times in the past, and the Great Reset agenda we've been hearing about this already for over 5 years. Schwab boasted to global leaders gathering for the summit that the world will look differently after his Great Reset agenda has been ushered in. He referred to the completion of his plans as a transition that the world will have gone through. What we have to confront is a deep systemic and structural restructuring of our world. Klaus Schwab said he believed that it would be a system of stakeholder capitalism. I believe that state capitalism is the short term, he said. In the short term, it provides certain advantages because you can mobilize in a concentrated way a lot of resources to reach a specific objective. And this is really no surprise because the idea, right? The idea that essentially The bankers, the world bankers, are intelligent elite architects that are more capable of guiding humanity into the future. This is not a new idea. This is something that we have seen play out time and time again. And of course, it all depends on who it comes from, right? In some cases, it's seen as just, conspiracy theories, tinfoil hat theories. But at the end of the day, there's more than one banker, central banker, that has made it apparent that they believe that they should be the architects of humanity. It's not just Klaus Schwab, right? It's also guys like Augustus Carsten, who for some reason cannot control himself, but desperately needs to know what you're doing with your $100. Klaus Schwab continues, I believe that the future is not state capitalism or shareholder capitalism. The future is what I call stakeholder capitalism, which is combined with social responsibility. And social responsibility is this giant umbrella that catches all kinds of crap. So essentially, it just becomes do as we say, social responsibility. Schwab's stakeholder capitalism system is one where companies seek long-term value creation instead of short-term profits, and governments cooperate with them. Because right now, nobody's seeking to build anything long-term. I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. Before the money was broken, people were building things for the long term. Once the money started to break, you couldn't do that anymore. These people are going to claim to be able to fix that with government, but the real solution is proper money that is able to store value across time and space, Bitcoin. Anyways, let's continue here. The unelected leaders of for-profit companies are in charge of society. Oh, so right now it's the evil corporations. You know, the people that decided to build something regardless of the risks, the people that decided, you know what, maybe I don't want to do what my whole family has done for generations. Maybe I want to see what I can build on my own merit. Those horrible, horrible people taking their lives into their own hands. Oh, God, they're in charge of society, and we need to stop that. What we really need are overly educated people that are entitled because they spent so much time in school. We need those people, okay, at the highest positions in order to govern over us stupid peons, okay? That's what we need. Now, I had never heard of talentism. I don't know how any of you have. I have seen some really strange narratives pushed forward from the World Economic Forum. One of them is this shitcoin called Cello. The narrative behind it is called sacred economics, which really seems to fall in line with this type of nonsensical bullshit. Anyways, let's dive into what this talentism thing is. The relative weight of any country in international relations can be traditionally measured at 3 levels. Its dissuasive strength in terms of defense forces, the prosperity of its citizens and companies, and its influence as projected through intangible values. As far as all of these are concerned, innovation is the key, and innovation is something that is produced by elites. I don't buy that for a second. Having a lot of money doesn't mean that you're an innovator. There's many people who make a significant amount of money and are actually not innovating. They're simply just providing a service that is in high demand in society. And as a result, by providing that service, they create value for individuals, and individuals are willing to pay a premium for that value. So this idea, right? This idea that the, I guess I'll just call the idly rich, okay, the idle wealthy are somehow innovators. That's a load of fucking nonsense, okay? Necessity is the mother of all invention. And when you have infinite resources and can do almost anything, believe it or not, very few people will innovate. And that is evidenced by all of the billionaires that do not innovate. There's very few that actually innovate. Anyways, but look, this whole talentism thing, this whole World Economic Forum taking over the whole world, all of this depends on a whole bunch of people buying into this bullshit. Okay, let's continue. The only way forward is to encourage elites to adopt one of the two types of innovation strategies, either creative destruction or creative adaptation. The former means that the economy is in a permanent state of evolutionary chaos. Innovators are the only ones to survive in a context of constant mutation. The replacement of typewriters by computers is a typical example of creative destruction. Argentina used to be a wealthy country at the beginning of the 20th century, thanks to agriculture and livestock. Its elite was well educated but little disposed to innovation. As a result, it entered the 21st century relatively poor. Meanwhile, the United States has been progressing since the 19th century thanks to its radically innovative elite. It became the wealthiest and most powerful nation in the world. Make no mistake, it was not the innovative elite. Indeed, wealthy people may have funded some innovators, may have funded inventors, right? But make no mistake, the wealthy elite were not the ones to innovate themselves. This is a trick. This is a trick so that the state can own everything. And even further removed, this is a trick so that the World Economic Forum can own everything and dole it out as they see fit, because of course they're the intelligent architects, right? The benevolent dictators. The second option, creative adaptation, means to do the same as the leader does, but adding a degree of innovation in terms of labor costs, logistics, and efficiency. Okay, that's what that is. That's just a cog in the machine. You're nothing else. This is the model that was adopted by Asian elites. Oh, we definitely want to end up like China. The performance of South Korean companies in television, smartphones, and automaking are typical examples of creative adaptation. So see, this is where, right, they point to a nation that is not being completely drowned and destroyed by totalitarian government. They show you that it's the carrot with the stick, right? See, look at these guys. They innovated like crazy. They're doing fantastic. And then right at the end, as well as the great Chinese takeoff achieved since 1978. That's really what they're interested in, that social credit score, that ability to coerce and co-opt anyone at any time. Innovation. Having a large contingent of students coming out of high schools or technical institutes, it's not enough. Education should be both a civic requirement and an opportunity for all. In the meantime, however, innovation cannot be measured in terms of hours of schooling. Yeah, it's true. But by what is actually being done with the teaching that has been received. Wow, true. In concrete and innovative terms. In this regard, innovation is produced by elites, and elites are the product of innovation. No. I don't buy it. I think what you're doing there is you're trying to create this relationship that doesn't actually exist. Like, what came first, right? The innovation or the elite? I can almost guarantee you it's the innovation, right? Let's go back to the cavemen. Was it the elite banker that discovered fire? No, it was the fucking caveman that discovered fire. He was not elite in any way, shape, or form. Okay, he did not have the caveman Bentley. He did not have the freaking caveman, Manhattan whatever apartment. Okay, he didn't have any of that shit. The dude was trying to survive, and he innovated out of necessity. Necessity is the mother of all innovation. Nothing else. Okay? Not a bunch of rich people wanting you to work harder. That's not the mother of innovation. Oh gosh, these guys are brutal. The perception that global competition among elites for talent will unfold is not exactly new. Talent, however, was once seen as synonymous with vocation. It was about developing one's natural abilities. We therefore idolized individuals who were experts. Okay, that's bad. You should never idolize anyone, because a human is a human, and there actually is no such thing as experts. That is a term that was created in order to confer a degree of trust. Trust without verification. That's an expert. We don't need to verify. We just need to trust them because they're experts. Klaus Schwab, founder of the Davos Forum, identifies talentism as the successor to capitalism. Imagination and the ability to innovate, not weapons, natural resources, or capital, would be the drivers of what he calls the age of adaptation. Along these lines, education can also be seen as one of the differentials between the dynamism of Asia and the rest of the developing world. According to these new paradigms, education has to interact with the pro-market environment ample access to venture capital and entrepreneurship. So the coming competition goes beyond just knowledge and is therefore a function of institutional ecosystems, more or less able to provide innovation and therefore prosperity and power. That's a total load of crap. That is not what's going to happen. Okay. A bunch of people, okay, that are not incentivized in any way, shape, or form to innovate will not just innovate because they're part of some giant ecosystem and they're told to do it. That's not how this works. This is the carrot at the end of the stick. This is a complete farce in order to get us goose stepping into a dystopian future of control by unelected officials that somehow know how to live your life better than you do. The key element of innovation is high quality human capital, a rare resource called talent. To a certain extent, the great global race of the 21st century is therefore nothing but a major competition among elites. Without saying it in specific terms, Klaus Schwab is letting you know it's all about the elites, okay? And the thing is this, right? The idea that somehow the greediest, wealthiest, most power hungry, most likely to be megalomaniacs, the idea that those people would somehow be benevolent dictators just doesn't pass the test. I think that's a load of crap. I think that's psychotic. I indeed think that the most powerful, power hungry, megalomaniac people would want the rest of us to buy into this bullshit. Indeed, but no, I don't think so. Before we wrap up this clip, I just there's a quote from Calvin Coolidge which really it has always stuck with me. I've always found it to be very powerful and very important. Nothing in this world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. Okay? And that is something that I have always reminded myself for many, many years. I think that to a certain extent, we've all been scammed. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I know of a lot of people who are very well educated. And something that I noticed, and I'm not saying that all heavily educated people think like this or act like this. I'm just saying I've seen this happen on more than one occasion, is that they spend, these people spend a lot of time in school. Some of them, they get PhDs, some of them get masters. And they come out into the world and realize that they're not entitled to a very well-paying salary, because the reality is that whatever they studied doesn't bring or is not seen to bring a lot of value into this world, and therefore people are not willing to pay the exuberant amount of money that these people think they deserve because of the amount of education that they have. And I believe that this is done by design. Okay, I believe that this is indeed part of the whole giant scam, right? Because the more and more people you have that are in these positions, the more and the more people that you have that have essentially bought into the whole entitled education idea. Well, when you present to them an idea like talentism, they see themselves at the top. They see themselves as being in those positions. What we don't realize is that so a lot of times in these types of situations, there's a cap, right? There's a cap on the number of doctors in a nation like that, right? There's a cap on the number of lawyers, right? Because it's no longer about the person's freedom to be whatever it is that they want to be and to essentially work to their own rule. In this case, it's no, we're going to base what you're going to do based on your quote unquote talent. But when there's a cap on that, where do you go if your talent is already filled up? And I think that this is kind of that carrot or the stick thing, where you get all these educated people picturing themselves in all of these fantastic positions, and they don't realize that every single one of them is going to be sitting in a fucking factory. Okay. I know that's kind of like hyperbolic, but it's probably really not far from the truth. And the reason why I say that is because I even see it already starting today. I can't tell you how many people that I've seen and that I've worked with that would rather be making boxes for a living, okay, than stressing out and dealing with some of these higher education jobs for shitty pay. And the reality is, all of these measures, this talentism, stakeholder capitalism, all of these ideas, this is all of it is designed to hide the broken money. That's all it is. Okay. Because keep in mind, people, if you can store your value across time without the government censoring you, you're more likely to innovate. That's the real key to innovation. Okay. The real key to innovation is the ability to be able to innovate, not allowed. It's not about the right to innovate. It's simply about the ability to have the time, the inclination to innovate. Anybody should be allowed to innovate. And in no way, shape, or form should somebody else that had nothing to do with your innovation be able to go and decide that they own portions of it and then dole it out to the rest of society as they see fit because they're part of the elite. That, okay, that is a dystopian future that none of us want. And the only people that do want it are the people that stand to gain the most power. So we need to ask ourselves, when we see the World Economic Forum, when we see people like Klaus Schwab pushing these narratives forward, we need to ask ourselves, who stands to benefit from this? Why am I being told this information? We always got to wonder, who does this stand to benefit? And in this case, all of this, right? Putting this independent body on top of all governments, who does it stand to benefit the most? The World Economic Forum. That's who it stands to benefit the most. And of course, they're quote unquote supporters, right? Anyways, guys, that is our clip for today. Sorry about the rant. I can't help it. When it comes to the World Economic Forum and these bullshit isms that they try to pull together and essentially try to coerce us into this like slave future, like, no, we're going to have no part of this. And I don't really care about, they have all these threats where, oh yeah, well, you know what, if you don't join our digital ID system, you're going to be outside of our innovative future. You know what? I'm totally fine with that. I'm pretty sure your innovative future is not what you think. It's definitely not what you think. Anyways, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. Help us grow the channel, and I will catch you all tomorrow.